Alright, hi. This is one of my first videos. My name is Alyssa and welcome to my channel. Mercedes announced a autumn readathon and it sounded very interesting. I love the idea of having an autumn readathon because autumn is the best time of the year to read, in my opinion. There are 4 prompts. I liked these prompts and I had some books I want to read anyway that fit well with these prompts, so I am making this TBR so that I can follow up later. We'll see if I do actually read these. Let's start at the beginning. The first prompt is to read a gothic or spooky book. I chose a very, very short but thoroughly gothic, The Raven and Other Favorite Poems by Edgar Allan Poe. This is very short, like 44 pages of poems, assorted poems, including The Raven. I'm pretty sure at some point, like in, this library copy has some notes to help me. I'm pretty sure at some point, like in junior high, that I did read The Raven, but I don't remember it at all, and I would really like to be more well acquainted with Mr. Poe. It's definitely been on my TBR for the autumn, Halloween especially time. Oh, I should pay attention. So I'm excited to pick this up and read it since it's so small. I have no excuse. I will read this one. The next 2 are fairly big, but I'm being ambitious and I'm just gonna take what I can get. However much I can read, I'm happy with. The second prompt is to read a non-fiction book that feels autumnal. Now, this feeling autumnal is a little bit of a stretch. I think it's not really like autumnal so much as it is like October-y. It's a little bit eerie, and that makes me think of Halloween naturally. But I heard of this book a little while ago and I wanted to read it in October because of the season, so I'm counting that as autumnal. It's more just season appropriate. And anyway, this book is The Devil in the White City by Erik, Larson. This is a nonfiction book about the 1892 Chicago World's Fair and I think the serial killer that was wreaking havoc there. I think it's fairly comprehensive about the fair in general. So far I'm about 20 pages or 30 pages into it, and 30 pages, and we're starting way back in the beginning, like getting acquainted with the architect of the fair. So far, I'm really enjoying this. I really like the writing style. It is thoroughly researched, and I like the flow. It's quite detailed, and the pages are fairly dense. They're fairly dense with words, and so at like 400 pages or so, this is a pretty big book for a readathon, and like I said, I don't think that I'll finish it, but I'd like to make a big dent in it as motivation, and if this carries on to nonfiction November, then that is just fine. Now the next 2 prompts are actually a combination. I've combined them into one book, and that's to read a novel set in a cold place and to read a historical fiction novel. And I have chosen to fulfill those prompts A Gentleman in Moscow. This has been on my TBR for like a solid 2 years. I've really wanted to read it. Like, I think above all else, the cover intrigues me. There was just something about it, just seeing it on the shelf, I wanted to read it. But I've never gotten around to it. I think it's about 450 pages or so, or 60 pages. And that's like the teetering point where books start to get really intimidating to me, that just like it feels like a commitment to start that. And even though I've heard really, really good things about this, I don't know, I've just somehow kind of put it off, been waiting for the right time to read it and like to have enough time to dedicate to it. But there's no such thing as that. There's so many books to read in the world, so I'm using this readathon to jumpstart my reading this book. I think I forgot to mention that this book is by Amor, Towles, and so far, or what I know about this book, because I didn't do a lot of research before jumping in, despite having wanted to read it for 2 years, is that it takes place around the 1920s, early 1920s, or at least it's beginning there. The story begins there, and Count Alexander Rostov is put under house arrest in a very fancy hotel by the Bolsheviks. I'm also on about page 30 in this book, which, having a combined total of having read like 60 pages and technically is the third day of the readathon already, is not a very good start, but that's okay. We'll pick it up. So far, our main character has just received his sentence of house arrest and is settling into the hotel, moving furniture around. And because I'm under the impression that the entirety of this book is just the 20 or 30 years that this man is under extravagant house arrest, I'm really intrigued on how these 440 pages are going to be filled, especially because I've heard only good things about this, and I know that it's already been optioned or is at some point in the process of being made into a TV series with a pretty good cast. So I'm really curious to see what all this book is about. I'll let you know when I'm done with it. Basically, these three are my TBR for the Autumn BookTube Readathon, and I'm excited. So thank you for watching my TBR. Let me know what you guys are reading. I'm sure that because this is my first video that no one will really see this till some future date. But if you read any of these and you enjoyed them or had any thoughts on them, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. So I'll give you an update on my TBR at a future date, and thank you very much for watching. Bye!